The idea of servanthood has been a recurring theme, hasn't it, in these past few months? Our late Queen is known as the Servant Queen, and a new King is promised to serve our nation and the nations of the Commonwealth. We have a Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, and now a new First Minister, Hamza Yusuf, all promising to serve the people and seek the welfare of us all as head of the nation. Near our home, DBC, we have two new deacons, Graham and Frank, who have been set aside to serve the congregation. And Alistair reminded us very helpfully recently that really we are all servants. Some months ago, I felt very prompted to send an email to our Scottish Secretary, Alistair Jack, about servant leadership. And I said to him that in the Bible there are wonderfully inspiring models for good leadership, which would be very helpful for politicians to take to heart in these days when there is so much division and where there are strikes and discord and a great need of healing in our country. There's Nehemiah, a governor who rebuilt walls, and unlike his fellow nobles, he chose to eat the same food and labour alongside the ordinary folk doing all the hard work. And then there's the Apostle Paul, who calls himself to be the lowest ranking galley slave. And of course our ultimate model is Jesus himself, Jesus Christ. He is the great model for leadership. And if we look carefully, we'll see that it's a servant, incarnational leadership. In John 1:14, we have those wonderful words, the Word, the eternal Word, became flesh and made his dwelling amongst us. Literally, he pitched his tent amongst us. Now that is an extraordinary, stupendous statement. Jesus didn't do a standoff. He took the first step in reconciling us to himself. He made his home amongst us, walked in our shoes, experienced our life, sharing our daily personal joys and tragedies and sorrows and hopes and fears. And on the cross, he himself, on our behalf, took that step of embracing the world's sin and sorrows, paying the price, destroying the curse, disarming the devil. The Good Shepherd, the great King, God himself, the perfect man, lays down his life for us, takes it up again and calls us to himself, seeks our best welfare always as our constant companion, changing us to be more like him to the day he takes us home. Satya Sundar Singh was an early 20th century Indian evangelist. And there's a story about him that one time he was crossing the Himalayas with a guide, and they came across a fellow traveller who was barely alive, frozen in the snow. The guide said to Satya Singh, "You've got to carry on, you must follow me, otherwise you need to leave him here to die, otherwise we will all die." And Satya Singh refused. He says, "You go on, but I will carry him." And he lifted this poor man on his back, and the warmth of his body gradually revived that man. And they walked to the point where they walked side by side through the Himalayan passes. And eventually they came across a body that was frozen in the cold. It was his original guide, his original leader. Satya Singh was willing to lay down his life for another, and he found it again, just as Jesus said. Incarnational servant leadership is beyond the capabilities of our ordinary human nature, but it can be created in us when we trust our lives to Jesus. What a difference that would make the way we would go about leading our country, managing our businesses, in our workplaces, in our homes, in our church life. What a fairer, more just, more harmonious, caring society we would be. It's what inspired Cardinal John Newman in his wonderful hymn, Praise to the Holiest in the Height, to write in the third verse, "O loving wisdom of our God, when all was sin and shame, a second Adam to the fight, and to the rescue came. Jesus Christ, the perfect man, the perfect leader, the perfect servant.